Johnson, and this is Focus on Liberia. Hit it! From Cape Mount to Cape Palmer, Mount Nimba to Atlantic Ocean, Obomi Hills to Boakai, to educate, elevate, and promote. Talk about home affairs, in diaspora, current affairs, reliable information, history, talking about culture, politics, education, entertainment, business, sports, advertisement, articulation. Focus on Liberia. Focus on Liberia. Focus on Liberia. From Monday to Sunday.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to yet another edition of Friday Night Debate on Focus on Liberia. My name is Dennis Jar, and we are broadcasting from Atlanta, Georgia. It's been a little over 4 months since President Joseph Newman Boakai took office along with his Vice President, Jeremiah Kwan. Since then, things have been happening, and so at this point, we want to test and see whether we are going forward. Are we going backwards, or are we still at the same place under President Boakai? That's the topic tonight. Are we progressing, retrogressing, or stagnant under the Boakai administration? It's been 4 months, so we should be able to tell a little bit as to where we are. With me to discuss this, I have Mr. Michael Patmore. Mr. Patmore, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Dennis. I'm glad to be here. And I look forward to a very interesting conversation.
Thank you. Also in the debate is a strong Boakai supporter, Mr. Aliyu Samba Kamara. Welcome, sir.
Thank you. Thank you.
Let me also welcome FOL political analyst, Mr. James Victor Nawe. Welcome, sir, Mr. Nawe.
Thank you, Dennis. Happy Memorial Day Friday to you. It's good to be here.
Thank you. We want to welcome all our viewers from across the globe. When it's Friday, it is Friday Night Debate. And there are still few couples of debaters that will be joining us later on, including Mr. Kalebo Gonglo. So that's the show tonight. Invite a friend and let's get started. So let me start by saying, is it fair to judge the Boakai administration at this point, whether we are moving forward, we are moving backwards, we are stagnant, or is it too soon to tell? Aliyu?
Well, I wouldn't say judge, but I think it's fair to critique Joseph Boakai administration at this time.
Victor?
Yeah, it's I think a comparison will help us to draw either the contrast and between the two administrations. So I think 4 months is quite a good bit of time to have left enough footprints for us to begin to catalog successes and failures.
Mr. Padma, do you have enough data, as the data scientist like Kalebo would say? Do we have enough data to gauge the Boakai administration, whether we are moving forward, backwards, or stagnant?
Absolutely. I believe even from the day of inauguration, you cannot gauge everything, but I believe you have enough to be able to gauge the actions of government on a comparison level. and move forward from there. So we have data, and we have enough to gauge certain things in the government, like appointments, budgets. The first budget where the focus is, and then as we collect, as the government has more activities, and we collect more data, and then we go back and of course we do more analysis. So I don't think it's early at all.
Thank you. Let's also welcome Mr. Kalebo Gonglo, the progenitor of the African Map Genius Project. Mr. Gonglo, welcome to the show. My question for you is, we are right here. What do you look at to tell, Mr. Gonglo, whether the government or Liberia is moving forward, backward, or stagnant? What will you look at? Let's do you are the numbers guy. If you can unmute, Mr. Gonglo. Mr. Gonglo himself is stagnant.
Dennis, I'm just trying to position myself better.
Good.
Not so much. There's something about Liberia. Collecting data is a challenge in the country because the government and the different institutions of government don't believe in data. So our leaders make decisions based on empirical evidence. They just make decisions just by instinct or how they feel or what the public want. That's what they go by. But in terms of this administration, you don't need to look far. For the first 100 days, you see the Minister of Public Works totally violated the PPCC law. He went a single soul. When the law is served, they give him that right. You look at Mo Ali to Water and Sewer, also single soul. You look at the Ministry of Finance, the Deputy Minister for Administration, Bill McGee Jones. There are evidence that there's someone who has turned into whistleblower to say, hey, this man say we want to change the figure from 180,000 to 200,000. Truly, he submitted it. He got no objection for single souls. So single souls seem to be like the way they went. So there's a government that say they're going to fight corruption. They're going to be a change agent. So you look at a few data points that is in public view, you can see that, hey, they're not proceeding well. Okay? One may argue that it's still soon. Then if you look at the different appointment processes, how many times they have to withdraw, compare that with the WIA and the Ellen Johnson Sally Boakai administration. There were few withdrawals of nominations, right? For other reasons. But for this one, it's very unusual. Where even some of the people whose names have been announced, like Roger Duma of Nima County, I spoke with him 2 or 3 times. President Boakai met him and said, hey, can you go for assistant minister? Even though he was announced to be deputy minister. He said, no, Mr. President, if I can get Jola Estate, I can't swap that. I was announced as deputy, the other person was announced as assistant. Now you want to be the assistant to that person who was announced to be assistant. So the working relationship between us would not definitely be good. She would be suspecting me. So if you look at all these different points, the government is still fragmented in terms of communication, in terms of coordination. So there are many things we can see, we can look at and say, hey, then civil servant pay being delayed, the budget for the legislature, or the campaign onward, or downside. I know what. Is that not downside? What is the word they use? Cutting the salary. There was a word they used politically during the campaign.
Harmonization. Which
harmonization. The current budget, the civil servants are still harmonized in the current budget. So,
thank you, ladies and gentlemen. This is Friday Night Debate. Our topic: are we progressing, retrogressing, or stagnant under President Boakai? Let me get your opening on where are we answering the question. And we're going to be looking at several things, right? If you say we are stagnant, each of you can pick something, right? It could be the economy, it could be healthcare, it could be the rule of law, mining, concessions, roads, rice, corruption fight, diplomacy, the war on drugs and substance abuse, SGBV, infant mortality rate, death from motor accident, all kinds of things, right, that we can look at. So let me get your opening as to where we are. Are we progressing, retrogressing, or stagnant under President Boakai? Let me start with Michael.
I think I'll talk about the fight against corruption.
I want a general
Oh,
statement.
you want a general?
For your opening.
Man, it's competitive because I think there are a few things that we're progressing on, and I think there's many things that we're retrogressing on. But what I will say is that if I had to pick one, I would say we're progressing. I would say we're progressing, and it's not because of effort. I believe that Liberia is so far back, we are so far down that anything is an improvement. I think you saw yesterday there was a ribbon cutting ceremony because of water was going to Broad Street. I mean, that's how low we have become. That if you can pour water on Broad Street, then it means for celebration. And for us who grew up in Monrovia, who knew water was on Broad Street 50 years ago, and 50 years later we are celebrating water on Broad Street. You know, that's how low we are. That's how that the expectation is so low that if you have to measure that as a progression, then I guess we are progressing. But that is my point. There's nothing to celebrate about. But if I had to choose, I would say we are progressing.
Thank you. Mr. Nabwe, are we progressing, retrogressing, or stagnant under President Boakai?
Okay, let me quickly do this and then I'll tell you. So, like I said, let's do a quick comparison. The President Weah came into office, right, pledging to fight corruption. And that was one of his cardinal, promises.
And let me remind you, this is your opening. We're going to go into the meat.
Got you. So what does he do? He appoints Ndubusi, what is his name, Wabuduke, right? And the guy himself became the center of investigation, right? Even Kanyobala, who was the deputy himself, became embroiled in acts of skepticism. So this president comes in and he erects the Asset Recovery Commission. What does he do? He puts in, Martin Colley. Martin Colley is not in Liberia, but he's getting paid. Alice Coffey is not in Liberia, he's getting paid. And then not only that, the commissioner themselves are trading charges of corruption, and So my point is, if you are going to fight corruption, you want to put in place characters that themselves will inspire confidence, and not characters that themselves, will become center of investigation. I think that you defeat the whole purpose. So now President Weah did the same thing. President Boakai is doing the same thing. Can we then say we're making progress? I don't think so. And so this president, and the thing about it is he's had enough time to intern. He was an intern for 12 years. And to continue to make the same mistakes. So I'm going to go with, I don't believe we're making progress, but it's probably one step forward, one step backwards. So if you total it out, it probably cancels out to being stagnant.
So we are to the same place. Let me go to Mr. Aliyu.
By the way, is Kelabu still going to open? Okay, you open for over 50 minutes. Anyways, you have me cracking up. You always make me laugh. That's a good thing. I think for the past 120, 125 days, we have seen a giant step being taken by the Liberian government and the Liberian people. I want to thank the people of Liberia for their cooperation. In their own little ways, despite of the economic struggles, they're really cooperating with the government. I think they realize that this is their thing, this is not the people's thing. Now, the government, Joseph Boakai, when he came, he told us that he was going to make road a priority. Through his ingenuity, there are over 200 yellow machines coming to the country, reenacting the public work bureaus in every county capital. When we were growing up, we had a different public work offices in Greenville. I don't know if you're in Sino in the bush. I don't know whether you ever went to but yeah, they had a public work office in every city in Liberia. So Joseph Boakai is reenacting that. We see the Water and Sewer Corporation getting back on track. Lofa County, as you know, I'm deeply rooted. Family members in Vonyama are telling me that they're even drinking water from the pipes that were put there under Ellen Johnson Sirleaf that went cold under the George Weah administration. Nimba County as well, some parts, people are saying running water. We can also say here, with boldface, that the different referral hospitals, some of it, not all of it, like Nimba County, Tapeta, Zwedru, and so forth, they are actually seeing medications and they are seeing assembling of actual medical activities in the country. We also see police confidence being reinstored in the people. We still know that there are challenges, but we see some dividends going forward. Almost in every sector. The Ministry of Agriculture, we know that he has now embarked on revisiting and reenacting all of those different bureaus that worked in the past, and to see how best they can enhance it to meet contemporary times. So there are so many good things going on, one step at a time, because the damage, the way the needle goes into your foot is not the way you pull it out. So we who are optimistic, we who are checking for the positive more than the negative, we see a lot of progress.
So let me quickly, I know the others will come.
No. You're not a host here, man. Give Dennis a chance to work.
And you're not a host either. You can't tell me what to do and not to do.
Okay,
so let me quickly say this, right? I am not an economist, I'm a chemist. But the economist will tell you, first of all, let's look at the micro indicators, right? What was the price of gasoline when the president came into the mansion? And what is it now?
So we'll get to the details. I want Caleb to open a statement. Are we progressing, retrogressing, or stagnant, Mr. Gonglo?
At this point, I think Liberia is at a standstill. And I want to clarify, it's not at a standstill because of Joseph Boakai inaction or action. It's because Liberia has been experiencing decline. There has been a culture of failed leadership from Ellen Johnson Sirleaf to present. So Liberia is actually at a standstill for the past 18 years. And I think it just continues.
And before we continue, what does progress mean to you? What does retrogression mean? What is stagnation, Mr. Gonglo?
Well, I think when we start to see a bold visionary intervention, say, for example, after 12 years, President Sirleaf said, education is a mess. Okay? So if under her administration, if she had taken the bold step, because in 2005, when she was campaigning, one of the promises she made to the young people, I was present at that rally, was that in 6 years, it will be said that one of the best chemists or physicists is a Liberian in Africa. That's what she promised, that she was going to put this high-tech high school in the 15 countries as a pilot project. And it will be equipped with science laboratory, and the teachers would be trained, it would be high-tech. It was a promise to the young people. And that was one promise that she failed on. After 12 years, she said, education is a mess. Okay? So then we have who also abandoned education. Then we have, Boakai is just 100. So we can't say much about that. But Boakai can also take the slide from Sirleaf because he was a key person in that policy formulation. Okay? So this is what I'm not saying. I'm not saying they're boasting. Right. It's not enough to say, let me just pick on Alio's statement. Bringing 200 plus this, that. Alio, it doesn't even work like that. Liberia received one of the highest rainfall in West Africa, maybe probably in the world. If you have a lateral road, you put machine on the whatever, once trucks and all heavy vehicle, plow that route, there will be pocket of a hole here and there. It will be there. Unless you go to asphalt pavement or concrete pavement, you're not going to have better road, okay? Then even the procurement process. Look, I don't have to be I don't have the crystal ball yet, but I can tell you, those machines you're talking about will become the next political debate in Liberia. How it's coming, because I understand it's coming for government, and the budget just got approved. How the procurement process was done. You're talking about hundreds of millions of dollars involved in such a process. It will take international competitive bidding to do it. If they're dealing with politically connected businessmen to bring in such machinery like we are hearing, that's going to backfire. That will be a colossal corruption.
Thank you.
Let us not even go there, Alio.
Thank you. Michael, what does progress mean to you, and what does retrogression look like, and what is stagnation under President Boakai? Let's define those terms and then we can move forward. Maybe that will help.
Sure. So for me, let's start with retrogression. Retrogression for me in our political sense means that the things we've been struggling with, like we say since 1847, they're getting even worse. Whether it's healthcare, it's education, is the lack of rule of law, or the lack of accountability and transparency, our inability to feed ourselves, or the inability for the breadwinner of a family, whether male or female, to actually buy a bag of rest. And the inability to do that, for me, is the retrogressive part of it. Stagnation means that, for me, it means that things remain the same. The more they change, it seems like the more they remain the same. You hear the Boakai government talking about, the rest problem. We will talk with importers. We'll hold meetings and consultation with importers to keep the rice price at a certain level. For me, that's stagnation. That's something we've been doing since I was a kid. Joe met with the rice importers. Charles Siller met with the rice importers. Ellen met with the rice importers. It seems that every single president we get meets with rice importers, and nothing ever gets done. Nothing ever gets done. That for me, that is the stagnation of it. Progression for me would be, it is not right now, but would be a final solution plan, whether it is a 10-year solution, 20-year solution, but a final plan that we can put together that has steps that we can start working on and say, look, we're not going to get there today, but here is the plan. This is where we are going. This is how we intend to get there. These are the stopgap measures put in place that will evaluate our progress as we go along. That will be progress. That will be progress, and that is what we lack a lot of. You hear people like Caleb say, yeah, about 200 yellow machine. 200 yellow machine. One yellow machine is $250,000, and you just tell, we're bringing 200 yellow machine. The police don't have motorbike. Motorbike they run after criminal. You say, we're gonna spend $50 million and bring 200 machines, a yellow machine, and put them where? We saw people do this before. I don't know if you guys remember PL480 or whatever it was, all these things, and how these machines rotted in the forest in Lofa County. Because you don't have a plan, but you just say, let's buy it, and then when we buy it, we'll figure out the plan as we go along. All those things, those are not progress. That's the stagnation I speak of.
Thank you. Let me hear from Leo. You were counting some, you're counting progress. What does progress look like to you, and what is retrogression? What should we see to tell that this is progress, and what would be that threshold?
I think one of the problems we're facing in Liberia is damn if we do and damn if we don't. So I think we just focus on what we do and let the talkers talk. But retrogression, we saw retrogression during the George Weah administration. Madam Ellen Johnson-Sirleaf started a lot of projects. She made a lot of new laws that could have helped the Liberian government to foster after her administration. Ministries were built, a ministerial complex. We went out in the place, no maintenance. They have brought a LSG electrical, instead of expanding on it, instead they owed them $13 million, and the Liberian lost energy. The country, I mean, everything was just falling back. Hospital, JFK was going up. Medication and doctors, several doctors were sent abroad. And when George Weah came, we realized there were 3 baby mama to 1 bed at the maternity center at JFK. So retrogression under George Weah, it was just a given, and anybody could see it. There was no need for any denotative definition of retrogression. Now, we've seen progression far under the Joseph Boakai administration. If you had public work ministries in Kakata, Magibi County, for example, or Department of Public Work in Kakata, Magibi County, and then you realize that that building has caught mold, the roof and everything is getting destroyed because it has no function, and you decide to reactivate it, you are progressing. Okay, when somebody say, oh, why are you bringing yellow machine? And because the road will be destroyed, so it's better not to have the yellow machine or have the yellow machine. So we're in a difficult situation where people are just bent on criticizing, even if it is positive. Let us accept the good when the good comes. Let us accept the bad when the bad comes. And the truth of the matter is, nobody just stood up at Mr. Pamo and just decide, okay, we're buying 200 plus yellow machine and we don't know what to do with it. I mean, come on now.
Thank you. Mr. Nambwe, what is progress? And what would be the litmus test for progress or retrogression?
You know, I think Mr. Padmo, I kind of agree with some of what he said. I think progress will look like doing something that the immediate past government, or even the government before this government, the previous past government for that matter, that they were unable to do, that this government is doing. And I listened to Mr. Aliyu Kamara, rattle off these things, but most of these things were already initiated. The water and sewer, all these things, most of them were initiated by the government that left office, and they just been completed. I have to see a signature move or a signature project, that this government of significance, I'm not talking about, $42,000 water renovation dedication, $42,000 dedication, you're doing, you're cutting ribbon, a government, right? So yeah, I think progress will be, like we said, major progress made in the fight against corruption. I don't see that yet being done in this government. There are allegations of corruption in the press almost every day in this government from their own people, and this president apparently is either unwilling or is unable to do anything about it, but nothing is being done about it. We haven't heard anybody being held accountable. The president came in and enunciated his 100-day, deliverables. These are things that nobody forced out of him, and the 100 days came and passed. It was being reported that he may have accomplished about 10% of those things. So again, broken promises, as just like the government before him. So yeah, I have to see a market difference in performance and achievement as relative to previous governments to call that progress. As far as I can tell, I really haven't seen that much. I haven't. Yeah, the president, maybe his diplomatic offensive might be a little sharper than the previous past president. He's making these trips, but we're yet to see what will come out of these trips. Even they themselves are worried of reporting on these trips. Some of them, we don't hear about them until they're made. So yeah, we're waiting to see this president making a major break, if not delivering on the promises that he made. Doing something significant that will cut a clean break from business as usual that he promised that he wouldn't be. So far, this is all we're seeing: appointments bungled, going after people who are tenured, right? And quote, reversed by the courts, asset recovery, where is it? Dead on arrival, right? War crimes and economic coup, where is it? We have no idea. So what is it that we're really crediting them for yet? I'm in a hurry. I can't wait to credit them, but I can't find anything to credit them.
Oh,
That's progress.
thank you. Now let's go into the meat, right? If you say progress, let's talk about the areas. If you say retrogression, let's talk about those areas. Mr. Calabo, I want to start with you. If we are not moving, if we are moving forward, tell me, pinpoint specifically. If we are going back, let's pinpoint it specifically, and you have your colleagues to challenge you on that.
For example, one area I would say we've not made progress on, both under Ellen Johnson Sirleaf and President Weah, and now under President Boakai, it's the issue of not seeing anyone in jail in Liberia for corruption. We can just talk about it. You know, President Boakai inauguration, which was tax dollars, taxpayers' money, it was mismanaged. We had interview from Mirabro, we had interview from Yata Formula, we had the Unity Party chairman spoke, and the president promised. I believe he even set up a committee to investigate. No report, no action. Okay, so
on the corruption front, are you saying we are making progress?
We are not making progress. There is no progress.
So are we stagnant or retrogressing?
We are stagnant on corruption issue.
Okay.
No progress on that. Okay.
Aliu, what's your response on corruption?
First of all, let's just make some things clear. This man's brother, Kelebu's brother, Councillor Gongru, was responsible for Judy Bryan going to jail under Ellen Johnson Sirleaf. To say that nobody went to jail under Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, that is a terrible thing to say. And secondly, look, what you're asking for is arbitrary arrest. Under Liberian law, everyone is innocent unless proven guilty. You understand what I'm saying? As we speak, almost every bureau or section of the Liberian government is being audited. The auditing process takes time. You got to let the times play out. I understand you guys think 120 days is actually 4 years, but things are not done that way in government, especially a law-abiding government. Everybody have their right, and you must respect that. Now, we are progressing, Dennis, in so many places. I just told you about
let's concentrate on corruption for now. You say we are progressing.
Corruption. We are progressing. We're progressing.
The fight against corruption.
The president announced you.
Hold on, Victor. Hold on, Victor.
I'm done with me, political analyst. You gotta be in the middle here. If you want to be a good analyst. But
what?
You know,
what? I gotta corruption. Be the I want to be what?
Go on. The fight against corruption. We are progressing.
Thank you. Thank you very much. So we're progressing. We're progressing under JMB, and we're very happy for it. We see that even the Central Bank of Liberia is being audited. We're getting draft or report of those audits, even though they're not official, so we cannot use it as references. But we see the work is going on. We know that the Ministry of Finance is being audited. We know that almost every part of the government, with the exception of NSA and so forth, are being audited. And the president has said he has given mandate to his officials that these audits will not catch dust. He's waiting for the final report from these audits, and action will be taken. It's already started. So I think we're moving forward. Unless after the audits are submitted to the president, the final draft is done, and nothing is done, then we can say we're not doing anything in terms of corruption.
So you're saying just the audit alone, that's progress. Have audit not been done before? Is that what you're saying?
No, but you see, you have to understand the FIA boss has been suspended and he's been investigated. Is that not considered progress in the fight against corruption? So there are a series of things going on right now as we speak. Just be patient.
Mr. Nabwe, on the corruption front, the fight, are we progressing or retrogressing?
Well, I mean, I indicated first of all, the agency that is supposed to lead the fight is embroiled. It's in itself is embroiled in a scandal. I mean, that in itself just kind of kills the entire momentum for the fight against corruption. The president announced he was going to audit NSA, the security agency. He pulled back on that. We don't have any explanation as to why. I'm not sure if the Central Reserve is being audited. Mr. Kamara is announcing that the central bank is being audited. I don't know about that. All right. The president himself.
That's the reason they say you shouldn't travel. It was being audited. That's why.
Okay. Then I remember that. Thank you. So yeah, I mean, the inaugural committee report is still out. The president's own inauguration is still out. Even his own political party's a victory celebration or whatever that was, $365,000 is still out. So and then there are all these reports and counter reports right now. There are reports about people at finance ministry fudging the numbers. They sent out a bill for this. These are yet to be substantiated, but they're in the press. Mr. Gonglo just also enumerated a few of the instances at the Ministry of Public Works and also at the Water and Sewer. These are acts of public malfeasance. Why is it nothing being done about them? I mean, I don't know if anything's been done about them internally. As far as I can tell, there's nothing that's been done about them. So is that really progress on the fight against corruption? I doubt so.
Thank you, Michael. We're talking corruption here.
I believe that right now corruption is stagnant, but I believe it will retrogress as we go along. I believe we're headed back to the days of Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, when every day there was millions and millions of dollars of corruption accusations and I mean exposures going on. The government has embarked on single sourcing, which violates the law. That's why you pick and choose winners instead of having a fair process. We also, see just different actions from different government officials, whether it's something as simple as the head of the United Party, who is also a chairman of the board of NPA, participating, campaigning in the NEMA elections. Just those, you see, when you have the basic building blocks being disrupted and being abused, what do you think is going to happen to the rest of what happens? And that's the corruption that we're talking about. The president is aware of it. The president has chosen not to take action against it. The law is very clear. If you are a party official, you should not be in certain level of government. And the president has chosen that he's going to ignore those things, And that's the corruption we are talking about right there. It's just a continuation of what we saw for the last 6 years, and even the 12 years before that.
But Mr. Padmo,
yes,
in all fairness to the president, I mean, what should the president do? There are people, there are agencies and officials of government responsible for those. Why you think the president should be the one doing it?
All those people serve at the will and pleasure of the president. The buck stops with him. This is his administration. For it to be successful, he has to be the one to make sure it's successful. He has to set a precedent. If the president comes up today and dismisses the chairman of Unity Party for certain actions, everybody under that value chain will fall in line, because they will say to themselves, if he can do it to the chairman, what about me, who just Secretary General, or me, who head of the women wing? He will fall in that line. But when you can't do that, the people that are under, they all look at it. If you look at the president right now, the president promised to the world, nobody asked him. He promised, I will, when it comes to my asset declaration, I will publish it. We are heading into June. It hasn't been published. Because of that, 75% of their government officials have not even declared their assets because they don't take him serious.
Thank you. So they say the journey of thousands might begin with one step,
but
right?
Dennis, if I can just make a quick comment on this. I think Leo says something here that he tried to mix two different things together here. It is no fact that the FIA director that was there, he was in a turning position with President Weah. He's one of those that President Boakai wanted to replace with a unity party or protege or party style. And so, without even order being concluded, he removed the person. But here is the irony of that action. He took Alice Coffey, who served there before, and there is a well-established audit report on him receiving $690-some more $1,000. He has no accountability for that. He took him and put him on asset recovery with a presidential appointment to go and fight graft to recover stolen money. And that's the main record. So you can see, you're taking action here and there. Here is Kamara here. His brother was running an artillery training school in Congo Town. He was in Kuhu with the current, I don't know, I should say current or outgoing commissioners of LTA. He was getting all these contracts because he was there before. And 2018 audit report on GSC website, go there. Kamara then could not, everything is there. Don't even take it from me. I don't want to go anywhere in public. It's there. But that's the person Boakai has appointed to be what? The chairperson. So then you can even go there. The AACC, my brother Pablo was just talking about it. Forget about even making it public. The law is very clear. It said before taking office, declare your asset. All those who are there, the moment AACC report came out and said 117 out of
75% have not declared. Oh,
Boakai was going to show that there is a new administration, there is a new sheriff in town. The action would have been suspended with immediate effect without pay. All those who have not, they would have been a floodgate, a long line to AACC office to declare their asset. He didn't do that. So he showed to the people, hey, this is business as usual. That's why we argue that nothing has changed. We can go on and on and on. Dennis, the examples are plentiful in favor of nothing has changed.
Let's look at roles, right? As I was saying, the journey of 1,000 miles begins with one. So the steps that you take, even on the corruption front, audits are going on, as Aliyu stated. Already at the TLA, people were dismissed and replaced, and the whole tenure thing is another story. But
you call TLA?
Telecom, not TLA.
LTA.
LTA.
Okay.
Right. LTA. So things are happening now when it comes to roles.
Dennis, you are a moderator. I don't intend to interrupt you, but they were not dismissed. They were not removed for corruption, though.
No, they were removed because they were checking something, right? They said they had been audited.
But so, you don't have to remove the person in order to investigate them.
No, but that's what happened.
But so it's a wrong political action. I think
but they did that for corruption, so that in the fight against corruption produced that, right? So they have taken some steps. You may have problem with the procedure, right? But there have been steps taken. On the role issue,
I don't think that's a positive step to you
okay,
can't on a rule of law, you can't set wrong example to justify a wrong action. I mean, you can't do that, Dennis. You said positive example. You can say, oh, and I think the argument they made is that, oh, we did it, so we can do it. That's why we was defeated. So you can't go back to that, okay? And that's my point. What does the law say on removal of people? Supreme Court, is law established.
What I was saying about these steps
to removal.
These steps are being taken, right? We look at asset recovery and all the different things that have been done, right? So will you see that has good signs that at least we are taking steps to fighting corruption or no?
No. So I will say this, Dennis. I'm a teacher and I'm proud to say that I was a teacher. So when you have students, hopefully thankful I'm teaching mathematics. Math is a process-oriented or discipline. To arrive at a solution, you go through these steps. You don't just give a solution. So the steps they are taking now, even the intention is good, are woefully wrong, and it just make the outcome also rejectable. That I mean, it's just basic common sense. And not that they don't know better, because this is a party that has 12 years experience in running government.
Thank you.
You're on vacation for 6 years, Mario.
Mr. Nawe, let's look at another sector where you think there's progress, stagnation, or retrogression.
Yeah, I'm really hard pressed. I know you were talking about roads. Let's be honest. Josh Weir actually, whether he initiated, but he completed quite a number of roads in Liberia. I understand some of them were begun under the presidency of President Shirley, but he did quite a lot. This president came in promising, we all know the famous quote will not get stuck. At the end of the day, what do we get? We had rehabilitation of existing roads, yes, but just kind of grading over the road. Even some of his own people are complaining for the grading of the road for $22 million or so. I don't know if I can say anything substantial has been done to the roads project. Yeah, I'm hearing reports of the yellow machines and all of that. We
Is
have
that,
yet.
is that progress? The yellow machines.
Well, if the machines are here, that will be considered progress, especially the quantity that they're reporting. If that is so, that sounds like progress. But we'll wait to see it begun. Let it get started, and then let's see. Because one of my panelists indicated, some of these things, but they happened before. Some of them from the day they brought them, where they deposited them, that's where they remained. So is he making progress on the roads? Yet to be seen, I would say. I don't know what else. Like I said, I'm hard pressed. Fight against corruption. Several examples have been cited here that suggest that we're either stagnant or we're moving backwards. Whether it is corrupt fight against, resources, fight against, the administration appointment, all of these things. It is very difficult to actually point to a clean break performance from this government. But again, yes, 4 months, maybe that's not too much time.
Thank you. Mr. Padmo, what other progress you see, or retrogression, or stagnation?
Oh wow. Well, I don't know where do we even start. Right now, I think just the way how government is run, which I think will kind of encompass a lot of stuff. The way how government is run right now, we really expected better. George Weah was a novice. He had never really run anything or run it successfully. And we saw that. We saw that the way the CDC operated. It reflected. And because of that, the Liberian people decided they're going to choose experience, 40 plus years of experience. And that has been a disaster. Now, when you question those 40 years, they compare you to the novice. Well, we're better than a novice. That's what we're trying to do, but we expected more, and we haven't gotten that more. And I think there we've actually, it's been a great letdown. It's been a retrogression, if you were to ask me, because even some things that George Weah got right, this government has not been able to get right.
Like what?
Like, for example, just the appointments. Yeah, the basic appointments. Just something simple as that. They haven't been able to get it right. We saw how many times people were replaced. We saw the arguments behind the scene. We saw all the back pushing behind the scene. And let's be honest here, CDC did have the back pushing. It was not brought to the public. They did it in their party headquarters, and they came out and they presented one unified force. And we haven't seen that. We have not seen that.
Thank you. Aliu, overall governance. Yeah.
I'm sensing a lot of feelings here. I don't think people are discussing issues. They're just feelings, especially Nangba, who is very, very worse. But Kedepu, or Kelebu, sorry. I call you Kedepu because I remember one short guy doing Dota. He used to work with city police. But anyway, look, just because you see somebody's name in an audit report doesn't mean they were guilty of corruption. Just because he saw Ellie Coffey's name in an audit report with something associated with a thing that was under his jurisdiction doesn't mean he stole it. That's not what the audit report said. And that's not what the audit report said about Abdullah. If you're talking about Abdullah, that's not what the audit report said about him. Joseph Boakai would not appoint any of these people if they were found guilty of corruption. That is why he has not appointed Brandon Samukai to any serious place. Do you understand? So we're discussing a lot of feelings here. But again, you say, oh, Joseph Boakai did this, he disrespected the law, he disobeyed the law. There are clauses in the Constitution that gives you the right to take up on some of Joseph Boakai's decision to the Supreme Court. Have you done that? Do not forget also, Joseph Boakai appointed an ombudsman. Have you tried to find out, to push that ombudsman to actually do their due diligence? Somebody who is not serious to fight corruption, why would they appoint someone to make them obey the policies of the government? So I see a lot of feelings here. I see people dodging the fact. Either they're dodging the fact, or they don't know the fact, or they're just speaking randomly because they have videos on social media. But the reality is that this government is functioning, is doing well, is getting recognition internationally, and is respected internationally. If what you are seeing is what the international community is looking at, then the World Bank and this government will not be in some very serious discussion by this time. The yellow machines you are talking about, those are not yellow machines that were actually bought from the information that I got. But these yellow machines are going to be assigned with the Ministry of Public Works from the information that I got. Imagine the Ministry of Public Works drilling their own roads instead of giving contracts to other people. What would you prefer? The employees of the Ministry of Public Works get paid by government on monthly salary. No extra multi-million-dollar sentence. Then another thing you must clarify here is people talking about 21 million, 22 million was spent on roads. This is disinformation. No 22 million was spent. 22 million contract was given. The way contract work is not by the time you sign the contract they give you 22 million. You have to finish your contract to get your money. It's paid in installment based on how much, what percentage of that contract you have completed. As it stands, the government of Liberia have spent $8 million, not $22 million. I don't know how difficult it is, but I'm going to understand this.
But Dennis, if I can,
Dennis, no, give me a second. Give me a second here. First of all, Mr. Kamara, I feel your pain. First of all, there are no feelings in this, and I see how you're struggling, and all you do is talking generalities. Let me tell you something. For what has been done to the road, even if they pay $1, that's $1 wasted. You're talking $8 million. What exactly did they do to the road, Mr. Kamara? What they did to the roads when the rain season comes, you come back here and tell me what they did, and tell me whether it was worth $8 million. You tell me that. You talk about Brandon Samga, I don't know. This business of Brandon Samga was a cost celeb for the Unity Party. How is it now today defined to be an anathema? Wow, I don't understand. I think you're double talking. There's no feelings in this. We're just looking at the facts. And
you haven't given any facts since you started talking. Not one.
Let me put a little feather in your hat, and then my friend Gongo can come in. The one thing I got to say, Dennis, at least there are killings, that have taken place under this government, but we can't speak of mysterious deaths as they occurred under the previous government. I think that's something that we have to credit them with. Yes, there have been deaths, uncalled for, but notwithstanding, they haven't been the type that will amount to mysterious, death as happened under this government. No journalist has been brought in for questioning, as far as I know, even though there were calls to bring in Tamba Koji when he made his remarks. And I was one who said, I thought they should call him in, but you got to credit this government at least, even though he was espousing threats against the government, and they did not bring him in. So we have to give them some credit for that as well, at least for being cool and calm in the face of criticism, both from the journalists and the opposition. Nobody has been brought in for questioning, as far as I can tell. I think that was there a case someone called in. Yaka Kaluba, I believe, was called in. But even that case, I believe, was was let go.
Let's look at the economy, right? And by economy, we talk about prices.
The next I want to make comment on this though, but I will say this. Kamara makes a section here that that he doesn't have facts on the issue, on the raw issue. And I will tell you this. On the raw issue, he does not have the facts. Even some of the things you're talking about, this Caterpillar machine. Maybe you don't know this. Polo Works has actually transitioned. That's why Polo Works has been giving contract to company. It is now basically a regulatory ministry. So their role basically now is not to do role, is to actually regulate how contractors do the role. They submit. That's how Polo Works. They are there. People, this is why for the first time in the history of Liberia, we have had unprecedented registration of road building companies. Because Polo Works no longer has graduated from that role of building road. So if your administration wants to reverse that, is you have to go to the legislature and repeal the act. Okay? There has been an amendment to the statute creating the Ministry of Polo Works. For your information, because I'm surprised you don't know that.
Let me come in for a second. Another misinformation.
No, it's true. All government agencies. I work in government myself. Government, as a supervisor, you cannot.
Let that make a mistake, please. I beg you.
Dennis, let me come in here quick. Another misinformation. The public works minister came out and said they have engineers, Liberian engineers, at the Ministry of Public Works who can do this job, but they cannot do them now because the ministry do not have the logistics. They don't have the logistics. So the reason why these things are being sourced or outsourced is because the ministry do not have the logistics.
No, that's not the reason.
Excuse me now.
That's not the reason. No, but you're
allow me to learn.
The government is supposed to supervise.
Allow me to learn.
We gotta make progress.
Allow me. Allow me to learn, sir.
Yeah, please.
Kedabo, allow me to learn. If Kedabo comes out and said they have to go back, there's an article, this or that. Can Kedabo put the article that said that the Ministry of Public Works cannot break a role unless they outsource the contract? Give us the law.
All right. Thank you. Yeah. Aliyu, let's correct it. What's going on with your device?
What happened with it?
You keep going in and out.
Oh, I don't know. Maybe on the internet. I don't know. You want me to go out and come again?
No, it's not going to help. I thought you knew, but
no, I think it's the internet.
Maybe you have to outsource that function too.
I just don't understand that. Nobody, they don't write this.
Just give us the article that says Ministry of Public cannot create any rule unless they outsource it. Give us the article.
So let me tell you this. Why
I wanted to move because we almost spending 1 hour now, so I wanted to move up. Michael, you have something to say before we move to the
the only thing I wanted to say is, I mean, look, Ali can pull information from out of the sky for whatever it is and try to give excuses, talk about, there are no logistics. If you have money to give contracts, you have money to acquire logistics. The people you're giving the contract to, they're taking that money and acquiring logistics. So saying that, we don't have logistics makes no sense. It absolutely makes no sense in the whole thing. It's an excuse, and we all know it's an excuse. Look, the best thing that's happened to the Ministry of Public Works in the last 18 years is the empowerment of the private sector. And we've seen that we've been able to hold companies accountable for at least a portion of, And that's what was going to happen. Now, when you hear the people talking, say, "Oh, we will bring it 285 machines, and each county will have 19." Each county are not the same. So you'll get Moderator 19 machine, then you turn around and get Bombing 19 machine, you get
At
Lofa
least
19.
they're giving a machine.
How big is Lofa compared to Bombing? And Moderator need 19? These are the things I'm talking about. You hear things,
Bro.
they are political in nature. And the only reason why they want to soothe the whole thing, they want to calm people down, so they come out and say things. All I will sit here from week to week and we'll debate this issue, and we're waiting for the 285 to come. You see what the
I will say this. This
Thank you.
business Aliyu is talking about, I follow it on other channels, right? This is going to be Boakai Iboma. I can tell you that.
Thank you. Let's look at the economy, right? And when we talk of economy, exchange rate, prices, gas price, rice price, transportation, is I don't want us to go to big economic issue because but just the basic, right? Are we making progress?
How can we say that, Dennis? I mean, it's part of the fact that we wish we were, but I mean, the rate it went from 188 during weird days to I think 195 now to $1. I think gasoline. When I was in Monrovia, I think I bought gas in January for $8.60 or $8.50. I understand it's over $900 now a gallon. So rice, of course, that is in the news now. We don't know whether it's increased or decreased or stable. The commerce minister had announced an increase in the price. The president came and reversed him, but there are reports that the market has decided that the price has been increased. So people are now buying rice for much higher than it was being sold for. So again, that's why I was talking about the macroeconomic indicators. The part, the pocketable issues, the bread and butter issues. Those are the issues our people are concerned with. And as far as those issues are concerned, we're retrogressing. We're going backwards. Usually when a government comes in, there is some amount of optimism, and usually it drives the prices down. But we're seeing the opposite.
Thank you. And prices will always, if you keep inflation or other factors, we'll always have prices going up, right? But what exactly is being done that will tell us that we are moving forward or moving backwards, right? Even for gas, the price will go up. But is the government doing anything to keep prices certain way? Or
Yes.
What's happening?
Yes. Let's start with gasoline. The LPRC has just awarded a contract to a Ghanaian national who has promised to bring down or to bring some kind of competitive bidding in the process of pricing. So they have promised that their gasoline would be by far cheaper than what we already have in Liberia. He made a commitment to that.
Who's the Ghanaian person?
But remember, I forgot his name, but the contract has been signed. Remember, Dennis, like you said, there's inflation, and there are things that are going. That was a very great insight and question, Dennis. There are some very great things going on. The agricultural minister is looking at a holistic approach to this thing. He is looking at it from a long-term economic prosperity, as opposed to the routine, meeting the rest dealers and giving certificate or not giving certificate. The Minister of Agriculture now is trying to form cooperatives among farmers and even help, low farmers to be able to make enough farm. So they're working on it. They're doing a lot of great job. He was in Nimba County the whole of last week, going around Nimba County. In fact, as a matter of fact, he already admitted that his travel to Nimba County this round was much easier compared to any other time in the last 12 or more years. Okay, he drove there. So they are working. They're just now announcing everything on radio, but they're working.
But Aliyu, wouldn't this be a sign of things remaining the same? That if there is a shortage in price, then you call somebody and say, hey, bring in more. Okay? Or the road is not good, you go, you can't find yellow machine, scrape the road.
You didn't understand me clearly, Dennis. The reason why the agriculture minister is working is to fix the age-old problem of meeting rice dealers. But let's just clarify this, Dennis. You cannot pay.
What does that work? What exactly is the plan?
Again, I explain, he's organizing farmers, assessing proper locations. In fact, lands have been allocated in several locations, particularly Nimba, Lofa, and Bong. Now they are figuring out a way how to bring the Liberian farmers to a level where they are able to manage large agriculture projects, mechanized projects. In fact, he said, and he would not let the cat out of the bag, but there are machines, agricultural equipments that are en route to this country by the time the contract is done. So there are things, and then let's say something about this yellow machine and the past, and yellow machine in the past. Then that you cannot pave a road without grilling the road. So you have to have a yellow machine.
And when do you do that? You wait until the rainy season?
If I can make a comment.
You know, let me ask this, Mr. Kamara. Do you know the price of a gallon of gas in Accra? Why Ghanaian will bring gas to Liberia?
Oh, what I'm telling you is, I saw the signing ceremony, and that is what man committed to. What is the price of gasoline in Accra?
Okay, well, I was in Accra in January.
What's the price of gasoline there?
The price of gas for the same liters, the price of gasoline relatively is about the same as it is in Liberia. It's a little higher.
Well, we'll see what happens when you bring his material down.
When you factor
I think it's worth for it for now.
Thank you.
But let me say this, Dennis. I think Alio is engaged in a deliberate attempt to mislead our audience. And either he's misinformed by his sources, or he's just chosen to do this deliberately. The contract he's talking about, here is what Alio is not saying. When the Vice President Jeremiah Cohn flew on the private jet to Ghana,
that's because I ain't got time for all that. That's what I just said.
He said it was no cost to the government of Liberia. It is that fella has the largest share in the company. He's talking about a Ghanaian national. It is a Ghanaian company that the contract was signed with. One not a Ghanaian national, a Ghanaian company. And that company, Muhammad brother, who gave his private jet to the vice president to fly into Ghana when they took office, he is the largest shareholder. He has controlling share in that company, right? So they said there was no cost to the government of Liberia. But see what is happening. We don't even know the details of that contract.
Speculations.
Okay, so that's one. The other thing I would say is, and I forgot to make that comment, Alio sit here and say the reason why President Boakai did not bring in Brandon Samoka, who almost spent all his money in 2017 on his election, is because he was indicted or convicted of corruption. Even though President, we have pardoned him. When you have presidential pardon, your rights are restored. Okay? But here is what I know, and Alio does not know. Probably he knows, but he's not saying it. President Boakai was not happy with Brandon Samoka, Amra Kone, and others. He says these people were close to Elam Johnson Sally, and they were disrespecting him. That is the reason why Brandon will never come near Brandon or
Speculation.
Okay. My man, I've been in politics for long. I will tell you.
Can't use that.
And if I just tag on what Mr. Gongo indicated with these foreign agents, passing through intermediaries to reach our president. Another issue of concern is the recent trip to Guinea-Bissau. I listened to Edwin Snow report that he's friends with the president of Guinea-Bissau. And in spite of what was reported that the president of Guinea-Bissau sent a private jet for President Sirleaf, he tells us that the Guinea-Bissau government does not have a private jet, does not own a private jet. So then the question is, where did the jet come from that was reportedly sent?
The Muhammad brother.
Exactly.
Well, yeah, probably.
So,
in fact, I will tell you the on closing argument will actually trace that because all airlines, Professor Laura Kennedy may also understand, all airlines, the writing on the tail of the airline tells you where it is registered, where. So the owner of that plane is actually in Italy. Yeah.
So.
Michael, on the economy.
Look, I mean, just look around. I mean, how much is a bag of rice? How much is a gallon of gasoline? You know, how much people calling you now than when they were calling you a year ago? Those are all the things you try to leverage, to see how is the economy. The economy is retrogressing. It's not even stagnant. The economy is retrogressing. The president has not laid out a single plan on how they intend to get the economy going. It's almost like this is the picture I have in my mind, right? It's like you have a bucket. The bucket has like maybe about 10 different holes in it. And you're trying to patch it. And each time you try to patch one, the water shoot from the other side. You run to that side, you patch it, and you shoot from the other side. So there is no plan. There is no plan. Whether for economic agriculture, there is no plan. Whether for transportation, there is no plan. Whether it is how to raise the living standard of Liberians, there is no plan. If how to have government a public private partnership in certain areas, there is no plan. There is absolutely no plan. It's all they're doing right now. They are trying to patch holes as they come up for political relevance. That's what it is. And the economy is retrogressing. The world is moving ahead. And that's the other part missing the retrogression. Just because you're standing still doesn't mean that you're stagnant. In order to be stagnant, you have to move at the pace of everybody else. That's stagnation. But if you are standing still and everybody is moving forward, trust me, you are retrogressing. You are being left behind. And that's what is happening to Liberia right now. There is nothing, absolutely nothing going with the economy. People are struggling. They cannot afford a bag of rice. They cannot afford, even when they can afford the rest, they can't afford to put soup on top of that rice or to put it in red or in moi. They are really struggling, and they're trying their best to be patient with this government. But I see it as we move deeper into the rainy season, people's patience are going to run out, and we'll see tensions rise.
Let's look at healthcare and education, right? Because I wanted to look at progress this way. If even though we may not have numbers, but let's look at progress when it comes to healthcare, for instance. Is the population getting sicker? Are we being able to go to hospital? Do we have more people dying now than before? Can people afford to go to hospital and get treated? So let's look at healthcare and let's look at education. Our schools, students are taking the national exam or WAS or WASI, WAEC, and they are collecting, flexibility fees. Flexibility fees.
Can you tell us what is flexibility fees?
Flexibility fees mean the kids will pay money so that they will be allowed to cheat. So that's flexible. So
I heard too. I heard of an incident where the teacher had to call out and therefore reschedule a test, and then demanded that the student pay for the rescheduling of the test. And I was really confounded by that. You had to pay something so that the teacher would read whatever it was. And I was thinking, well, this person did not come to school, not because of you, but that was another puzzling thing.
So when we look at these things, are they getting worse? Are they getting better? So let's look at our school system and healthcare. Michael, you start, and then Ali will be second.
Sure. So first, I'll start with education. I mean, right now it's even worse than doing it, Georgia. There's not a hold on it. We've seen the budget, the educational budget. I don't know how you can run a school like that. Somebody went to the MCSS, visited the MCSS office last week. They were talking about how the roof is leaking. There are no furniture. You go into, people offices. There are no desks, no chair, nothing. Everything is bare. And you look at how much they are giving them to renovate all the schools in Liberia, including the MCSS office. They get, I think, $78,000. Like, really? But how can you say education is important to you and you won't put money behind education? You won't put money behind it. But yet you are signing into law a spending bill that gave senators and representatives millions of dollars to go do their pet projects in the district so they can get reelected of 5-6 years from now. So how do you do that? Healthcare, healthcare is my niche. I mean, healthcare is being supported by people from the diaspora. Let's just put it out there. We are the ones supporting healthcare. We are the ones helping our people buy medicine. We are the ones helping our people pay their hospital bill so that they are not held kidnapped in the hospital and refuse to let go because they don't have money. This government has done nothing at all, and we have yet to see the health minister come out and lay out for us a 6-year plan on how she intends to correct these things. No, we haven't seen anything like that. Everybody just going off the top of their head, and that's where we are.
Aliyu.
Mr. Palmer, I want you to understand that. Go ahead, Dennis.
No, healthcare and education.
Mr. Palmer, I want you to understand. Mr. Palmer, I want you to understand that those people you are talking about in that light, those people are more sophisticated in those fields than you. That's not your area.
Mm-hmm.
Speak about them as if you know what you're talking. It's appalling.
Which
now,
area?
Both health, not well, health is okay there, but education, that's not his area. But the thing here is to say, oh, what that government is doing nothing. A budget has just been passed, not even quite 4 weeks. A situation that existed, that Boakai is in, and now finding a remedy, Boakai government is not doing nothing. How do you say these words without actually understanding the undertone? Do you know anything about what project the Ministry of Health, Ministry of Education is undertaking right now? No, you don't know. Do you know which arrangement they're having with the World Bank and other NGOs? No, you don't know. Did you know that your government that you guys joined, the CDC, owed wise almost $6 million? All that you were talking about, you were pay wisely. Joseph Boakai had to come and pay it, where the Liberian government had to come and pay it. The health sector you are talking about, the government, listen, when the thing is set back, so way back, and somebody come, first of all, they got to reverse it to the status before it was set back. Then you start growing from there. These things are processes. And Mr. Palmer, I don't know if you ever worked in government before or anywhere around government.
No, I did not. I've never worked in government.
Okay, I see.
Have you worked in government?
Of course.
Okay.
These things are not just imaginary stuff. Government, especially Liberian government, is a bureaucratic form of government. You have 3 branches of government. Whatever you do, one branch of government can stall. Sometimes, in fact, most times, you have to understand these intricacies.
Aliyu, can you just address the progress or the retrogression?
No, it's just this random things. Yeah, it's just these random things that people say sometimes get me a little confused. But yeah, right now, the Ministry of Agriculture and the Ministry of Education, they have embarked upon the school feeding program. Did you know that? In some places in the rural areas, students have already started eating cassava and other stuff in school. In Grand Jide, in Nimba, and parts of Bon County. Some remote schools, they already started eating cassava and other things in school. That process has begun, and they're trying to make it nationwide. These things are processes. The health ministry, again, like I said initially, if you go to Tapeta Hospital, the Jackson F. Doe Memorial Hospital, the only crisis they're having there so far is electricity sometimes off and on, because, again, you know, the problem from Ivory Coast. All of these things are work in progress, and they're going. It's 4 months, folks. It's 4 months from taking over a dilapidated system. It's only 4 months, please.
Thank you, Mr. Gonglo. Let's talk healthcare education here. You're a teacher.
I'm actually going to take a leave of the show in the next few minutes, and part of it is Aliyu is actually engaged in deliberate lies. You know, and because we'll come here in a public forum, and the sole intention is to just mislead for political reasons. It's just dishonesty. I come from Nimba, and particularly where you talk about Tabata, I'm the stone throw from Tabata. My village is not far from Tabata. Tabata, in fact, we're originally part of Tabata district before we got separated at some point. So all these things you're talking about Tabata Hospital, nothing has changed in Tabata Hospital. But let me just say this to you for the record. And, and I'll be quite honest with Ali on this, and very honest with President Boakai. There is, if you go to the Ministry of Education, I think last night I was talking to you, Dennis, on this. With the help of one international NGO, they did the educational survey. I can't quote the exact page, but if you look at it, they got a different category of educational institution. They got community school. Community school are like, if Alio's sitting down here and build something in his village.
I gotta say, Alio's sitting down here. You go with me? I helping you understand the issue today.
Yeah, so if Alio builds something in his village, but then it becomes a public school, it's now a private school, and government assigned teachers is considered community school, right? So if you put the number of community schools, the number of religious, and private schools together, they have 3 times more than the public school government has built out of budget. There's number of words, go to Ministry of Education website, you see it, and download that document. I think UNICEF is one of the NGO that collaborate on our school survey. And the other thing I would say is that look at MCSS school system in Monrovia, which is a public school. Alio, check this out. And it got nothing to do with President Boakai. For the last 50 years, no new school building for MCSS school. If anything, they've lost some of that building, like Bassa Teenage. I want the Bassa Teenage. Bassa Teenage is no more. You go to Monrovia Central, is no more. So all those students in Central Monrovia who used to go to Bassa Teenage, or they either go to Judah Gibson, so they have to even elevate Judah Gibson that was just a junior high to high school. They don't even have space. They're not done expansion. It has nothing to do with any administration. It has to deal with the lack of interest by our leaders in education in the country. They talk about it. Our leaders are political investors in education. They invest in literacy, in poor education, so that election time, they tell people, why you not do for us?
Remember, Joe Biden had nothing to do with any of those things, though.
Hold on, Ali.
I've said this many times.
Okay.
That very honest is not about Boakai, it's about the generation of leaders. And Boakai, of course, got some culpability here because he was with L.M. Johnson selling for 12 years. They did not invest in education. They promised the young people in 2005 and was on that campaign trail with them that, in fact, they were going to have a model high school in the 15 counties with laboratory science or science laboratory, that it will be high tech. In fact, a remote president said, he said, in 6 years, it will be said that Liberia has one of the best chemistry lab in Africa. She said that. After 12 years, she said education is a mess. In the presence of Joe Boakai. In Joe Boakai's words, he said the squander.
Can we talk about now?
Okay, so what I'm saying here is nothing has changed,
Right.
and it is like that. But it has nothing to do with your kingsman or your president. Okay, I'm just making a realistic statement here.
No, I mean, the connection is you are saying nothing has changed on that front under President Boakai. Victor, I want you to conclude on this healthcare and education topic, and then we'll bring in our colors.
Yeah, I honestly don't have much to offer. I don't know what they're doing there. I know when the minister took over and she went for confirmation here in Minister of Education, I know she lamented the lack of support to the sector. And then she went on a nationwide tour of the sector. I don't know. I haven't seen her report back yet. But we all seen the children in Rosa sitting outside in the dark taking the examination council test, So I don't know, honestly. I'll be honest with you. I have nothing to offer.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, if you are just joining us and you want to be part of the discussion, we are discussing, are we progressing, retrogressing, or stagnant under President Boakai? The number to call is 605-313-6004. The code is 791-403 pound. Let's talk a little bit about justice, the rule of law. People going to court. Is justice blind, or things are getting worse? Are things getting better when it comes to going to court and getting justice? People being arbitrarily arrested without cause. People getting their fair share when it comes to the law. How are we doing? Victor, I think you know about this now.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we can begin with the Julie Andy and Prophet Key case, where the judge had to be called in to go lenient on on Prophet Key, which in itself was interference in the legal process. And then of course, at least we can give credit to the Supreme Court. They stood up and stiffened their spine and reversed the president on the telecom case. So I think it's a mixed bag of good and bad. I felt that several cases should have been brought. For instance, the B. Martin case and the shooting that happened and the deaths that happened. I had expected that some people would have been brought to court and face justice. That has not happened, so so it's a mixed bag, as I said. But I gotta say, I think it was the Padmo who mentioned, they just the puzzlement and disappointment with this government, with all the experience. President Weah was elected not for any policy, because of his person. President Boakai was elected not because of money that he achieved, but because of the experience that many people felt he had acquired. Long service in government, an internship with President Sirleaf for 12 years, sitting in the front row as the leading opposition leader in the country for another 6 years. So he was either in the hallway, in the corridor of power, or just outside. And yet, they just can't seem to figure this thing out. It's just really kind of puzzling, So the justice on the front there, it makes bad, like I said, interfering, and at least he did not interfere with the Supreme Court decision. He just kind of found a way around it, when they told him you can't do it, then he suspended the people before the report of the alleged audit that Mr. Kamara cited, which has not been completed yet, and yet the action, even though he said the action was pending the completion of the audit, but the action already taken before the audit was ever concluded.
Mr. Aliu, justice, the rule of law.
Justice for me, the rule of law and justice for me is like medicine. These are real complex. These are careers with a lot of complexities. So sometimes I like to relinquish it to the professionals in those areas.
Well, let me give it this way: interference from the executive branch in the justice system. Is it worse? Is it better? Are we doing better now than then? Where are we?
I have not seen any interference from the executive into the justice system. What I've seen is some members of the executive expressing their opinion, but their opinion have never made a decision or decided any case, because the case is in the court. Like for instance, the executive believe that the case with what the lady's name, the one who got slated. As far as the justice minister was concerned, Mr. Lucas or whatever his name is was wrong. As far as he was concerned, that guy actually committed the act, but the judicial system said no. So yeah, some of them had opinion and views that were different from the judicial system, but the judicial system prevailed overall. So I wouldn't say the executive is interfering in the judiciary.
Thank you, Mr. Gonglo.
Dennis, I think it's a mixed bag here. On one hand, one can argue if you are a Boakai supporter to say there has been no interference. But on the other hand, we can also argue, rightfully so, with evidence that there has been interference. The case with Buchipen Keita, I think we're going to talk about that earlier. But let's also look at the case of the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court opinion. The government issued press release, welcome the Supreme Court opinion. Within less than 24 hours, they took different action. I mean, that's the highest court in the land. You didn't show respect for that, you know. So I don't know what can you say, if you don't respect court instruction, then you don't believe in the rule of law. Okay, so I mean, I think it's so take for example the action of the police under the law. The Constitution guarantees free movement, and that's why if I were a motorbike owner in Monrovia, I will actually go to court to find injunction on the police director not to inhibit my movement. Okay, you can maybe have I can wear the helmet, but I should be able to go anywhere I want to go in Liberia. Don't say you can't go to this part of the Constitution is very clear. Whether you have a statute is lower than the Constitution. The Constitution guarantees free movement within the territorial limits of the country, and it's very clear. I will go to court to the Supreme Court to actually assert my right on that, but nobody wants to do it.
Thank you, Mr. Namwe. You conclude on this one, then we bring in the colors. Are we making progress on the justice end?
No, I
spoke.
Yeah, I see why you were confused.
Yeah,
okay, go ahead, Michael.
Abebe.
Yeah, you baby.
Go ahead, Michael. We got to bring in the colors before Evan complain.
Okay. What was your question there, Dennis? Please.
The justice and the rule of law. Are we retrogressing, progressing, or still the same?
I think we're still the same. We've seen no real improvement. We still have an overburdened justice system. We still have no check and balance in the justice system. The Supreme Court and the judicial branch have not been audited. I don't know, since I was born, maybe, which was a long, long time ago. We see the presidential legal advisor, influencing cases, calling judges. Can you imagine that? That should be a crime. That should be a crime for an member of the executive to call a judge to influence the outcome of a trial should be a crime. And if I could think really, really deep, I believe it even happened here in the U.S. and the person that was involved actually went to jail. I can't pull names out of my head right now. But it hasn't changed. People still run home before dark in Liberia. They're afraid to be out in the streets. The police is still under-equipped, under-trained, and with all logistics. Nothing really has changed. Nothing at all.
Thank you. Let's bring in our callers now, starting with Mr. Elvis Morris. Elvis, you have 1 minute. You're live.
Thank you, Mr. John, and hello to the panelists. Before I even make my statement, let me say this, just to reaffirm. We appreciate Focus on Liberia. This channel is, I think, the best on the internet, And I say this because some of the other platforms is either being headed by a criminal or you have people who are working with lawmakers who have radio stations that they broadcast on, which for me is a conflict of interest. So this is the truest, the only truly independent platform that is not working hand in hand with the same people that they think they're criticizing or going on a platform who is headed by a hypocrite criminal. So kudos to you, Mr. Jad. You may not see the numbers, but those are also who already know what's going on. We'll continue to support this platform in our own small ways and continue to listen and contribute to the platform as God permits. Let me go to the question on the show today. Look, Mr. Pablo, you made a brilliant analysis, and I think I was thinking the same thing when you took it right out of my mind. If you're standing still and other people are moving past, you're not progressing. Matter of fact, you can say you're retrogressing in a sense because other people will be seeing you far behind them, But let me say this. We have been retrogressing for at least the last 2 presidential terms. Ellen Joseph Sirleaf had some progression in her first term because we just came from war. So there was some positive, things that was done. But in her second term, we're left behind. People can blame it on Ebola. But since her second term and when President Weah came, we're not moving along with other countries anywhere close. So a lot of countries was moving fast ahead of us. And in essence, we're retrogressing. And the same thing is happening in the government. And I'm not going to tell you that I blame President Boakai for it because it's an enormous task to get an entire nation moving on an upward trajectory. It takes a lot of brain power, it takes a lot of determination, and it takes a collective willpower of the entire population. So as a nation, we are getting a state of free fall. Not to any one person's, fault, but just as a collective, people. We don't have the intellectual brain power. We don't have the political willpower. We don't have the patriotism that it takes to really tie up our boots and move our country forward. But I will say this on just a smaller scale for President Boakai. I think this is the second retreat that they're going to have in the last month or so. I think they had one in Burma, or maybe mistaken, but it went to a retreat quite recently, maybe a month or so ago. When you start doing retreat fast, that means that you, the president, you understand things are not working. You want to get answers from your lieutenants. And for Mr. Kamara to say that things are going smooth or things are going, progressing, it's not true. And this is not to be partisan or against President Boakai, because I think I've been more than fair to him so far. But the reality is, the people that President Boakai put there are not the very best that's available to him. And I think you need to re-strategize, remove some of those people. Yeah, we'll talk about it and say he's not sure, but you really need to remove some of those people, put the people who are really the best of the best that Abdullah has to offer in this position. Yeah. That would be my tip. But definitely we're not progressing. We're, if anything, stagnant, stagnant. And in fact, because other countries are moving ahead, we're in fact retrogressing. I mean, if you understand what I'm saying. Thank you for taking my call. I'll leave it right.
Thank you. And let's stick to the 1 minute. Let me bring in Flomo Livingston. Flomo, you're live.
1 minute. I'm glad everybody spent 1 minute. Great show. I think the president is progressing. A lot of improvement, a lot of good things have been happening. Although you are just a blind royalist, the opposition will know that. But Mr. Kamara, thank you, man. At least you are already teaching these guys on the network. You want to just speak with no fact. You ask them to provide any evidence, they don't have it. I'm glad Mr. Gongolo on the show today can find the partner in this government. But I still have a question for him. As the deputy level minister, you and your brother, can you point out any system you left in our ministry when you left that we can go and point out and say, okay, here's the system you left there that improve those people that work there? Can you please answer that question for me? I'll be watching. Look, the president is doing good. That in the last 4 or 5 months, the president has achieved so much that even the previous administration has not even come close to it. Now you get water in Moravia. It never happened in about 40 years, a decade plus. You haven't received that. Not just in Moravia, but in Boyama, in Sanapoli, in all parts of Takata and all parts of the country. That's an improvement that has not happened in our decades that have been happening. And the government is improving. I know opposition will not see no good thing, but I know. But before in a year time, look, let me speak on the Minister of Agriculture because he's already doing a great job. Look, people can go on the website and apply for agricultural equipment, even other stuff, they can apply for it to use it for their farming, to whole other things. That's an improvement. He invested in mechanized farming. He visited each county and verifying to improve, to know what the farmer, what's leading to the farmer. And that's very important because we have been seeing that in, I don't know, when they go on no agricultural minister know what he's doing. And people need to research so they can know what is going on. If we don't research, just sit out and read one on Facebook or one on closing argument. I know the argument is already closing. But thank you, and I would love for Mr. Gongolo to answer that question for me. Thank you.
We're talking about the Boakai government, not Gongolo government.
No, let me answer you.
All right. Thank you.
No, I just want to answer him. Flomo Livingston.
Thank you. Thank you. We will take more callers, and Mr. Gonglo will answer later on. Let's take Thomas. Thomas, Kana, you live. 1 minute, please.
Thank you, Dennis. Good evening to everyone in the studio. I was laughing when the last caller was speaking. It's almost like the discussion was progressing. It got stagnant and it started retrogressing and it's recovering again. But the point I want to make is, I think one of the panelists spoke earlier that the current government should stop comparing themselves with George Weah administration, because that's why the Liberian people replaced George Weah with this administration. But I think it becomes a little bit difficult when the previous government is always using their administration to be able to prove that you are not doing well. Then you have to say that I'm doing better than what you did. And also when you take over, every time you make progress, you're making progress from where you stopped from. So it's going to be very difficult for this party, for this government to speak about their achievements without measuring it against what George Weah did. But overall, the broader question of whether we are progressing, we are stagnant, or we are retrogressing, I would say, and I think one of the speakers said it earlier, every time the car is going up the hill and it starts to retrogress, and you want to stop it, you step the brake, the car is going to shake, it stops before it starts to move forward. I think at the beginning of this government, everything they've discussed, there have been the issue of appointments and everything, there have been some difficulties somewhere. But if you look at it overall, I think we are making progress. The first thing is that this country is much more safer today. People can go into that country without fear. Nobody is entering the country again looking over their shoulder that somebody is going to kill them or something is going to happen to them. Even when you talk to Liberians here in the US, people can freely go to Liberia and come back. So on the issue of security, I think we are making progress. On the issue of fighting drugs, I think we are making progress. On the issue of our revenue generation, I think Boakai is doing a great job at the LRA. I think Mo Ali is doing also a good job at water and sewer. So they are actually bright spots. The resolution that was passed for the establishment of the two courts has been signed by the president. So even though we have somebody signing, asking that, okay, somebody said at the Ministry of Finance, there has been this incident happening with regards to procurement, and the PPCC should really do better. But I think there are better things that are happening that is giving the signal that we are moving forward. The point I want to conclude on is that when we discuss about the issue of plans, that we have the government has no plan, we have to discuss it within a context. Because the government just completed their 100 days, they are talking about developing a 5-year development plan, and it will come off straight in September. So at this point in time, it's going to be fuzzy, especially in terms of long-term visioning and planning. So we have to discuss it in that context. If you can consider this context, just say they have no plan, they have no idea, not they are doing. It's like you are not in touch with what is happening on the ground. And on the Minister of Health, she has had the highest number of partners. I think she just announced a task force on the issue of drug supply and all of that. She's trying to digitize. I think people are doing some little things to be able to move forward, but we have to wait for the national plan to come out, and then we can see what the broad vision is moving forward. But I think not everything has been negative. So overall, I would say that we are making progress.
We think we stagnate somewhere or retrogressing somewhere?
I go.
I know. All right. Vincent Kia. Vincent, you are live. Go ahead, sir.
Hello.
Hello, sir. You're live.
Thank you so much for the show. So I think we're not moving progress. We're not making no progress.
Why you say
First of
so?
all, look. In many reasons, I say no. Look, when we talk about rule of law, we're not making progress. In justice system, we're not making progress. Look, the president, the Supreme Court don't make a law or make a policy or the corrected the president about what he did. The president he knows that recommendation the Supreme Court made and did his own thing. But with the whole court in the country that was on obey. But the president probably let the court law and court ruling and they won't rule it. So again, I listen to you first talk about the president appointing people in the government. When last time we read the president, if a political government have a function to perform, but because of this other reason, the president is responsible for anything happening in our country because he's the one appointed them. So if it's positive, he get a glory. If it's negative, he get a glory.
Okay.
He get everything like that. I go with it. And secondly, about I hear somebody talking about the government now. They are going after people. You saw on Facebook the 3 days about a guy that's the university campus that was man killed like jump through in a burger where the guy the policeman had made on the man neck. This I think happened because the man commented on the IG post or weekend where I'm because of comment. So these are the things you're saying. Somebody saying something like not in line with your view, you have to go after a person. So I think you say, and now, look, when we talk about, I hear my father even talking about, I can't blame President Boakai about this. The thing that is happening in our country, during less than 5 months, you see what is happening. When we talk about the rule of law, the economy is going up, everything in our country is getting hard. Look, when you buy something yesterday, now you go in the market the next day, it change. Since the government power, the president has no control on the price in our country, the rest, the gasoline, everything in the country is getting high. And when we talk about Mr. Farmer said, the people working with a government of well-known and experienced government in less than 5 years and 5 months, they are finding it difficult to even make a good appointment. Their own government, to even set the government out, it takes off almost 100 days to set government out. Other now, they not even get all administrative correct. You see that? And secondly, when you have a retreat, the regime they don't have, the retreat they have, it was not even enough. Not because of the common minister and the president has misunderstanding on pronouncing about price, they have to have a retreat. Because the president point necessarily the common minister comment he made or the report he made about the rice price going up. Instead of 2.5 concrete understanding people coming up, or I don't know whether you discuss with the president, people coming up. Now, that's because of that,
yeah.
They have to have the retreat.
Thank you.
See, because the president does not have control over the government, so they find it difficult for you to govern the country.
Thank you.
For me, the country is going beyond instead of going in front.
Thank you.
And secondly, to my brother Erie. My brother Erie, look, you so making like the president is more better than the other government attached. The president keep on the measure of change. If you keep with change and keep with rescue, there should be a clear line draw that we are different from the other party regime. So if he's doing the same thing the government that you voted against doing, and you can't do the same thing, then you're not paid to be president.
Thank you.
You're voting for you, or not important to vote for you because you're doing more than the 3 people that would voted against it.
Thank you. Thank you,
the country is going beyond instead of going in front. Thank you for the show.
Thank you. Let's take our last caller, and that will be Bindu.
Yeah, hi.
Hello, Bindu.
Yeah, how you doing, Dennis? First of all, let me thank you guys for the show. Very, very good show. All right, well, as far as the government, I don't know, we can say they are stagnant or maybe retrogressing because what happened here is, I mean, we are not seeing any plan. We know they've been in power for not too long. However, they need to have some clear-cut plans. Okay, I hear people talking about the food, and we're talking about planting and creating farms. Those are good plans, but that's long-term. What are people going to be eating? So we need a government to show us, especially the leader. I have to use the word government because government involves all of us. I need the leadership to show us a clear-cut plan, short-term, layout, defined, that we can measure. Long-term, layout, measure. You see, anything you have that is not written down, that you just verbally saying, it's hard to measure it. It's hard to even keep up, even in our own daily life. If you want to do something, you have to be able to write it every day. Those that have succeeded in life, they say, write it down. Write it down, let's see it. And I think one of the things that this leadership is doing, they're not communicating well. We see this, I mean, I feel bad to even measure anything and relating to the United States. But we see when there is a big plan, we see the leadership or the president go from town to town to sell his plan. Maybe our president cannot go from town to town, but let him go to the local networks. Let him meet with some of the local reporters. Let him tell us what he's doing.
Yeah.
So in the absence of information, we don't know what happening. We'll question everything. And one question I keep having in my head, as far as the security and people talking about we can go to Liberia now, we don't have to worry about people trying to hurt us. That's baloney. Because right in our face, we see people are being hurt by the police. There is no reason. The other day we saw they went to the mines in Cape Mount. They killed 3 people. After a couple of months, they gave them $5,000 each. What was that for? Was that for the family to bury their family members? And what happened to the people that did it? If it was because they were trying to settle that wrong, what's going to happen to the police that did it? What happened to the people that did it? We need answers. We need money. That's a slap in the face.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, Boakai, I think we have too much expectation for him. I think it was just too much. You know, we see that everywhere this man ever worked, he didn't really produce anything for us to say we can lay our hands on it. So I don't know, maybe this serve as a lesson for us next time when we electing officers or leaders. We need to have some real good track record layout that we can see to say, okay, this person did X, Y, and Z when they were in this position, so we are capable to elect them. But thank you for the show and thank you for allowing me to come on.
Thank you so much, Bendo. That will be the last caller, and we have 9 minutes to close. So starting with you, Calabo, you can respond quickly, 1 minute, and use the other 1 minute for your closing comment.
Well, thank you, Dennis. Great show. I'm not going to make any. I've said what I wanted to say, but just to respond to Flomo Livingstone. Flomo Livingstone, first, I was never a deputy minister, so your information is wrong. I was an assistant minister, and I will tell you one thing. Without even trying to boil you down with any other thing, at the Ministry of Labor, I was part of the process as a collective member of the senior management staff to rewrite the labor laws, and that is called in Liberia today Decent Work Bill. In that law from Livingstone, the Inspector General of the Ministry of Labor is a civil servant. They are hired through civil servant process. Under your government, President Boakai appointed the Inspector General in violation of the civil service or standing order. So that's one damage he did to the ministry. He has politicized the civil servant right there. Okay? In fact, so the current minister too has appointed Deputy Inspector General for Administration. You don't have such a position in Labor Ministry. Why is it that the Minister of Labor is able to do it? Because the president appointed Inspector General that the minister would have appointed. The minister says, okay, the president took that opportunity from me, so I will create Deputy Inspector General for Administration, so he can bring the president that he actually wanted to be the Inspector General from Livingstone. That's part of the damage your man is doing to the civil service. I'll let you go.
Thank you. Mr. Padmo, you're closing.
Thank you so much, Dennis. It's always great to be with you guys. Look, what we have seen here is highly disappointing. We went through a political exercise, and the United Party came out ahead. They were chosen by the people of Liberia to lead us for the next 6 years. They presented so many flowery things during the election period that the Liberian people were hopeful for, that they have not seen. There's a struggle in Liberia, whether it's economically, it's health-wise, education, even security. Let nobody fool you. You don't just go Liberia and you don't look over your shoulder. I'll tell you that right now. Yes, there are no summary killings, thank God. But then again, it's still early. Who knows? But yeah, but that is where we are. We continue to retrogress. We continue to squander the opportunities to actually move ahead and create some sort of sound plan that will actually make the lives of Liberians better. And because of that, this is where we find ourselves. Um, we're hopeful that this government will catch its breath. We're hopeful that this government somehow will get it right, because we cannot give up on Liberia. But for now, it is extremely disappointing. And I'm hoping that somebody, somewhere, can come up and try their best to convince this president that there needs to be a change of course. Thank you.
Thank you. Aliyu?
Yes, Dennis, thanks for having me again. The last caller, the female caller, struck a very salient point about communication. I believe that if the government was really disseminating the proper education and how government functions, I believe my brother Palmer would have a more insightful perspective, and he wouldn't just be speaking randomly without any facts. Dennis, this government is progressing, but the problem is when a government prior has retrogressed so badly, the government that comes after has to work to bring that country back on track before it begins to progress. Dennis, you know that water towers were built in cities. Banga, Kakata, somewhere in Nimba, Grand Jide, Lofa, etc. All of those things broke down in the last 6 years. Right now, as we speak, the government has brought some of it back and they intend to progress on it. Dennis, since 1992, Broad Street had not seen running water. To say that is not progress, that the government has now brought water back to Broad Street and beginning to expand. We're talking about the Ramafi Highway now going towards Habel. That is one of their focus in the Pinsville area. To say the government is still not doing anything. The government has, the police right now is investigating cases that were collecting dust at the Liberia National Police Headquarters. All right. So people that are in prison, they call to the police inspector general for no reason, and sometimes have not even been prosecuted. They've just been in prison, just languishing there. They are reviewing those cases. So the government has to bring the country back on the right footing, and then before it begins to progress. And gentlemen, I understand the impatience, but 4 months is not 4 years. Hang on. The first budget has just been passed. They have not even disbursed. So hang on. Thank you, Dennis.
Thank you. Mr. Nabo, you got the last word.
Thank you, Dennis. Quickly before I go in, let me thank you for the opportunity. I had come on indicating that I was going to leave early because I was going to join the family in Philadelphia tonight. My cousin's funeral is being held. Comfort Jeffrey Abuso. I want to send a shout out to the family there. My fraternal brother Sam Abu, the husband, and the kids, as well as my fraternal sister Jeffrey Kamara, and the children, cousin B, Atoka, Della. They're all there. Hopefully, we'll be able to join you tomorrow instead of tonight. But listen, we started here about taking stock of where we are in this government's 4 months of existence. And even the callers from out there, they seem to agree with most of what we're saying. There's not much progress that can be pointed to that this government is making. I mean, this government, and somebody said maybe we placed too much expectation. I think it was Benny or so on this government. Maybe so, but justifiably so, because this government is supposed to be the better educated, better informed, better prepared government. And that's why we expected so much from this government, but that's not what we're seeing. There are reports coming from Labor Ministry of nepotism. The minister has 9 ministers working in there from one sector of the country. What has the government done about that? Absolutely nothing. We've heard nothing. We're hearing cases of corruption in the government. The government is doing nothing. So this is business as usual. How can we then say they're making progress when the indicators are out there? We talk about the cost of living. Cost of living is higher than it was when this government came in. Gasoline prices higher, and rice prices higher. All of these things they're not favorable. you know. But we're hoping that they will master this craft quickly. We can't say quickly anymore. It's been over 4 months, so we're hoping that they will find a way. What I don't understand is, this governor, this president came to when he was being inaugurated. I remember the president of Ghana was in attendance. I think there were other African leaders. I don't understand why he's not making use of the region. There's a lot of resources in the region, believe it or not. I mean, we know Nigeria supported President Johnson a lot with gasoline and all of this kind of stuff. I don't think this president has paid an official. I think he made an attempt one day visit to Ghana. Which I don't know what happened. It turned out the president of the country was out of the country when he got there. But he missed the opportunity to go to ECOWAS. He missed the opportunity to go to EU. Right now, the young fellow in Senegal is making a lot of progress. I think he might, be a citizen or something, but he's been making his rounds in the region. I think this president should look to the region for help. I think he's really trying, but I don't understand. We seem to be looking in the wrong places, But thank you again for the show tonight. Hopefully they'll begin to find their way. But as of now, I think it's a mixed bag of little steps here and there, but generally stagnant.
Thank you, gentlemen, for the time. I want to thank our viewers for watching. Always focus on Liberia, where we educate, we elevate, and promote all things Liberia. Until then, whether you believe the government is progressing, retrogressing, or is stagnant, we are all Liberians. Have a good night and God bless you.
We are Liberians.